Hello there, my name is Adam. I'm a 3D artist and illustrator, and today we're going to make an isometric fantasy castle room, rather. Before we start anything, I want you to go over here to edit, preferences, then go to key mapping, and turn on tab for pie menu and extra shading pie menu. Go to navigation, you can turn on depth. You leave auto perspective on. Input, emulate 3-button mouse, have that on. Then go to add-ons and do loop. Turn on mesh loop tools and extra and do add mesh extra objects. Alright. After that, go here and do save preferences. And also, if you want to see the hotkeys, they're right here. Here, I'll press spacebar just so you know that it shows the hotkey. Let's change this to a shader editor. That way, if we press spacebar, it doesn't initiate the animation. Alright. So, the thing we have to do here is import the reference. So, if we can just use this cube here. Let's do Shift A, image reference. And let's load in Fantasy Voxel Room 1. Before you do that, alright, do Shift A, image, reference, and let's load in Fantasy Voxel Room 1. Turn off Align to View, and load reference, then do Rotate, X-axis, and then type in 90, G, X, and move it over to here. You can scale it down if you wish to. There you go. And we're going to basically make this. And you can move it behind a little, GY, it's about there. Perfect. Now, what we got to do with this, do edit, face selection, select these 3 faces, X, do faces. There you go. Now we have those. Let's add a modifier to it, a solidify modifier. There you go. And let's do 0.09. See how that looks. Make sure to do even thickness. And let's see if that fits. So we're trying to match this back wall and this bottom part here, if anything. And I guess 0.9 is good. If anything, we can modify it later. Don't worry about it. For now, we're going to leave it like that. And we can add another modifier to this. It's a bevel modifier. And let's do 0.01 as the thickness of the bevel. Ooh, I meant to do it. And let's go over here to mount. And let's do 0.01 for the bevel amount. And segments, let's do 3. There we go. That should round it off. If anything, you can make it 2 if you feel like it's a little. And there. Now you have like a little bevel. And this will help when we go into views like this to see the edge of the floor, or views like this from the top where you need to see the wall. Alright. And you can remove it after, but we're going to leave it since it works just fine. Alright. The next thing we gotta do is start adding a few bits of furniture. Also, this wasn't made in like a 3D model or anything. This is made with AI art. It was AI art generated. So we're simply using this as a reference to, make things. You can do the same thing and just copy and do this a repeat of what we're doing today. Okay. So, the first thing I want to do is make this piece of furniture here because I think it just looks interesting with the crystals here. It looks like a notebook, something weird here. It looks like a book. But let's get started with that. And then later on we can start making these little arches and stuff that looks really interesting. I like it at least. So let's do Shift A. Let's do mesh and let's do a cube. Scale it down. Do GX. And let's start making the top part. Or at least this part here. So, Let's do edit, face selection, select this face, extrude it this way to make another square. Let's just grab both bottom parts, extrude them in the z-axis. Let's just select these bottom parts, extrude in the z-axis, make it pretty thin, extrude it down again to about there, extrude one more time, and I guess I'll do it to about here, extrude one last time, and there you go. Then we're going to make the legs as a separate thing and this little tarp on top of it as a separate thing as well. But for now, we're adding these little pieces to it. So before we continue, let's add a bevel modifier to this. And let's do 0.0 for now. Actually, 0.2. There you go. That way it adds like a little bit of bevel. Go back into edit. Don't apply them, by the way, don't worry. But now, all we have to do is click on this, and right-click, extrude faces along normals, and make them go out like this. Only slightly, you don't have to go crazy. And do the same to these. There you go. And right-click, extrude along normals. And make it a little bit bigger than the other one. You can always look at the top view to see, but if anything, you'll see it like that. But there, it should bevel them out as well, so it should look just like in the original. The other thing we need to do is do edit, Control R. Let's add one edge about there. Control R on the other side. Add another one here. Do edge selection, and do edge selection on this and this one, and scale it in just a teensy bit, nothing too crazy, but there. And that should add that little crevice that we get there. And we can add that to the bottom one as well, though the bottom one doesn't seem to have it that much. Now let's select these faces here, do face selection, we select these. If you really want to just select everything, just do one X-ray and just select it like this. You can do Control to deselect these bottom ones. There we go. And turn off X-ray, and you can just right-click, extrude face along normals, and extrude them a little bit. Nothing too crazy, but there. And you can just do Control R one more time. Add one more loop here. Go into X-ray, one face selection. Select these top faces. Go back into this view after turning off X-ray. Extrude along normals, and make another little like ladder edge there. And it should start looking something like this. Basically a very similar replica to the original right here. And we have our main like table shape. Alright. The one thing I will do, edit selection or edge selection. Let's select this edge. GZ. Make it as flat as you can. But there. And now we need to make this little tarp on it. So, to make the little tarp, let's do Shift A, Mesh, and let's do a plane. There we go. Let's do Edit. Or actually, let's do GZ, move it up first. Put it right about here. Do 7 on the numpad. Scale it down to about there. Perfect. And now, GZ, holding Shift, put it about there, and we're going to add this over the edge. To do that, what we're going to do is edit, Control R, and just add a lot of loops here, like that. And we have to add like a little slit here, and we're going to add that in a bit. Actually, let's just do 7, Control R, and let's just start the slit here. There we go. And now they're even on each side. Or maybe slightly uneven. We can always move them around. Let's do GX. There you go. That's more even. And now we do edit, face selection, select these, and we want it to basically end right there. So I'm going to delete these, X, do faces, and now we select these ones, press O, G, scale it down a little, move to about there, rotate, make sure you're in the 3 view, G again, rotate, and rotate, G a little bit more, until they're straight like that. Perfect. Now it drapes over the edge just like that. And don't worry, we can extrude it a little bit more. Now I do face selection on these, X, faces, and now we do vertice selection, press 1, and let's try to get this shape here, GX. Also make sure to turn off O, GX, because otherwise we're going to get some weird shapes. To about there. And I guess we can scale these in the outwards, and scale these in the x-axis in. But there you go. And this back part is just rounded off. We're just going to do Control B on it. Alright. We just right-click Shade Smooth. You can right-click Shade Smooth some other stuff, but for now we're doing it on this. Edit. And let's add a Solidify modifier to this. And we're going to do 0.09, see how that looks. Yeah, that looks accurate. Perfect. Exactly how I wanted it. Apply. Let's go over here. Go to normals and auto smooth. And that should fix a lot of the visual stuff that was going on there. Edit. Or actually, just go to modifier and do a subdivision surface. And that should round it off quite a bit. And don't apply it. Just put a 2 here. And that should round it off much smoother. And now if you want, you can delete a few faces. For example, this one. We're just going to like X-ray. Select everything here. X. Until this like part here is visible. X faces. Do edge selection, select this edge, F. Actually, no, not like that. Select these 2 edges, F. You can turn off X-ray, just in case. There's that one, and just do the same on this side. There you go, and just add those little edges. And then we get that thickness there. And we can do G, Z, move it up a little bit. And there, we have that little tarp, and it shows that part there. Now, this tarp has a few shapes on top of it as well. It's not just a simple shape, but that's pretty easy to fix. Do Control R, and Control R on this side. That should straighten it out a little bit. Do face selection, and let's just select this middle bit, like this. And right click, extrude face along normals, and do it a little bit to about there, and do Control R, and add another loop here. And it should look something like that. Perfect. Next we gotta make this little crystal thing. That should be pretty simple. Do Shift A, Mesh, and let's do I guess that would work. Shift A, Mesh, Q, scale it down, G, Z, 7, G, put it right there, scale it down, and let's just start making the general shape.